Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UENradio.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rebel Hearts. This is your host, Kristie Reeves. Rebel Hearts is all about conversations with change makers, paradigm shifters, people who push the human consciousness in order to inspire you to become the change that you want to see in the world. And if you're watching this, you already see we're doing something different today. We're actually up in Nevada City reporting from the AmpCoil headquarters. And not only are we here, I also have an amazing co-host today that I would like to introduce to you today. My beautiful, wonderful partner, Jivananda, is going to be co-hosting with me. So say hi, Jivananda.
Well, aloha, team. Rebel Hearts. I'm honored to be here and excited to embark on this beautiful little interview we have set up for you guys today.
Yeah, and this is actually a really cool story. Jivananda and I met last November actually through AmpCoil, because he was working with AmpCoil, and Aaron Bigelow, who you're going to meet in a second, invited me over for dinner, and there was Jivananda. So we thought it was the perfect day, the perfect interview to actually start co-hosting together. And let's introduce the founders of AmpCoil, Geneva and Aaron Bigelow. Welcome. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's such a gift knowing you and seeing the incredible work you're doing in the world. You're such rebel hearts. So I'm so excited to do this interview with you today and have you speak about your journey and all the amazing things that you're doing in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels very natural to be here with you. And we've always felt very in sync with both of you. So we are deeply honored and very excited to have this time of sharing together.
Thank you so much. And both of you have quite a hero's journey that actually got you to what you're doing today. Why don't we just dive in right away and share a little bit? What is it that, you had a big incident happening in your life that really pushed you beyond your own boundaries, beyond and your own limitations. So maybe, Aaron, do you want to start and share a little bit about your journey and where you were at and that led you to today?
Sure. So first off, Kristie, I want to congratulate you on the name of your show, Rebel Hearts. And I really thought about that because in my journey, what I realized is how important it is to heal from the heart. Mm-hmm. And that's what was really blocked off for me. And I think most of us know that the heart is the most powerful frequency generator of the body. Mm-hmm. And once you're able to tap into that, anything's possible.
That's right.
So I it's beautiful that you came up with that name.
Thank you.
For me, if I just talk about what happened, every time I go into this, I get so emotional. So I'll do my best to stay on point here. However, when I really look at it, I was one of those people who was a go-getter, a go-getter, go-giver. I was always out there attempting to do whatever I thought was possible. If somebody told me, oh, you can't do something, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Watch me.
Yeah. So I trained in the Olympics for the Olympics for skiing, and then got in a crash, didn't get to do that. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, years later, trained in the Olympics in kayaking, broke my ankle right before the trials. So I was always pushing the edge of the envelope. And one of the things that I really realized when I got as sick as I was, I know it was because I was burning the candle at both ends. Mm-hmm. And what that really meant. And throughout this journey, it really, really got me to realize how important it was to really pay attention to all aspects of our body, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I thought my spiritual practice was just going surfing and that was it. I was done. But I realized it was a bigger game than that. And so I think me getting something as devastating as Lyme disease really taught me how important it was to really connect with myself and how much more powerful I could be for myself and the rest of the world when I really understood what it meant to really come from a deep state of knowing myself. And so I had to almost die from this, understood what that really meant.
Yeah.
So that was huge, and that's the big thing that I'm still getting from this every day. It's a constant reminder of how important it is. And a dear friend of mine said to me the other day, I don't see you get stressed out. And I think I've gotten to the point where I realize that if I get worked up, it just puts me into a tailspin and the other stuff starts coming back that doesn't serve me anymore. So it was the ultimate compliment that she gave me because I used to stress out a lot. And so I understand what it means now to keep things in perspective and look at the bigger pieces in life. So I'm just grateful for the so-called disease that happened several years ago.
Yeah, and how beautiful that you actually were able to look at that from the point of what is going on with me beyond the physical, what is going on emotional, spiritual, mental, on the mental level.
Oh, totally.
Get around, because that's how we need to look at disease, right? Or disease. We need to look at it all 4 levels and look at, okay, what can we do on the physical level, but also on these other 3 levels that are, often not looked at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a few months after Aaron and I got married 13 years ago that all of a sudden he came down with what we thought was the flu. And but a month later, he still wasn't up off the couch. And we watched his health decline for many years. And then when our first daughter she was about 5 years old, and she also started becoming symptomatic with things. She started having severe stomach pains and some significant personality changes. Started having tingling and weakness in her arms and legs. Eventually was hardly able to walk. Started having
seizures,
Tourette's-like symptoms. And I think probably the most heartbreaking part of it all for me on the outside, for watching both of them go through this, was there was like this veil that came over them. And I'd look into their eyes and I couldn't access them anymore. And that was, when you can't access someone you love so deeply, but that light and that brightness in their essence is still in there. And all I just wanted to do was remove that veil so that they could, really come back to life again. And so that was what, when our daughter got to the point where she just wouldn't let anyone hold her and she was just laying there twitching, couldn't eat, we knew that we had to really fast forward and start to find solutions. And so that's when we went on the path of, we got on a gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, soy-free, corn-free, GMO-free food plan. That helped.
And the only thing that was left was becoming a breatharian.
So we said, well, we got to keep going. You can't stop. If you stop, you just start getting worse. So you always got to keep taking that next right thing in front of you. So we started doing herbs and supplements and tinctures. That wasn't really doing it for us. So we started moving into technologies with biofeedback and bioresonance. That helped, but it wasn't enough. So then we kept going and we started doing foot baths and ozone and enemas and saunas. We did hyperbaric chambers and lasers and high-powered PEMF, high-priced protocols, you name it. And all of them had some type of benefit, but it still wasn't enough. And finally, we just started to say, well, what else is there? And we got to the point where we started meeting with some spiritual healers
Mm-hmm.
We even went to Brazil to go see John of God.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there was some benefit in that and definitely some blessing, but it wasn't what we needed to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
And by this time we were about $300,000 spending, and we had gone broke trying to get well.
Oh, which happens to so many people.
It's more than normal.
Yeah.
It pushes you to the edges of the universe, and you explore, and basically until you bounce back from the other side, going, what do we possibly do?
Yeah.
Right.
So what was your breakthrough?
Well, for me at this point, after about 8 or so years of this, I think the cumulative stress, and for me of taking care of the family and working full time, taking care of finances so that I could pay for these treatments, staying up in the internet, long hours at night, trying to find solutions. And then, basically I got to the point too, where I started to get symptomatic. I started having these mini strokes. Whether they were mini strokes, we don't know, but it was symptomatic like mini strokes, followed by these migraines that I was 4 to 5 hours a day in a dark room in ice packs. And then eventually I went full left side paralysis, lost most of my vision, and was unable to speak. And this is when, for me, when the breakthrough started to happen, was when I was laying lifeless in this place of really just being able to hear my heartbeat and feel my breath. And this is when I started to see everything in a different light, because before we thought, well, if we can just get rid of the spirochete, if we could just get rid of the parasites and the fungus and the heavy metals, then we'll be healed.
Yeah.
Well, it is true that when you remove these barriers that keep your body from functioning in a high state, that yes, you do feel better. But for me, the deep healing happened when I was in this space, unable to do anything, and all I could do was be.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started to feel myself for the first time. And that's when I began to know myself. And so, and I think ever since I was a little girl, I can remember, going to bed at night and asking myself, who am I? And this question would go on ever since I was 4 or 5 years old. And I think that was really my deepest spiritual confusion and conflict. And so here I was decades later, laying there and getting to feel who I was beyond my body and feel myself as a soul, that unprogrammed part of myself. And that was what I needed on the deepest level for healing. And that's the gift. That's one example of the gift that can come through chronic illness, is that it shows you where you need to heal. And I think a lot of times that we oftentimes overlook these gifts in an effort to heal as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
When underneath, they're here waiting for us. And if you accept it, then you transform, and then you no longer need the illness.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for saying that, Geneva, because what you just said, I think this is so important for our Rebel Heart audience to know the gift of the disease, because we look at disease and we start judging it. We go into anger and resentment and even into victim mode, saying this disease is doing this to me. But the disease is actually a gift saying, hey, this is what is not working in your life anymore, beyond the physical, beyond the microbes and the heavy metals. And look at the disease as the gift, and what is the disease teaching you? In your case, it was paralyzing you to have that stillness to feel yourself. Or for Aaron, it was, paralyzing you to stop pushing the river and being stressed out and taking the time for yourself. And for me, this is for what both of you are sharing. It's such a beautiful story and such a beautiful journey, and kudos to you for acknowledging that and going into that. Because it really shows us that we can use any kind of disease and actually turn it into our biggest victory, our biggest healing on all levels.
Yeah. And it was interesting because from that day, it was no more than 24 hours later that a doctor friend of ours, we went and saw, and he placed a AmpCoil on me. And within about half an hour, I started to feel my brain function return, and I started getting feeling back on the left side of my body. And this was only 24 hours after that moment of realizing who I am beyond my body. And so really the AmpCoil, if you look at the earliest prototype in a way that the AmpCoil is based off of, is the AmpCoil.
Which is a modified Tesla coil, for those that aren't know who Tesla is.
Yeah, and so that was a moment for us that, like, we have found as close as we're going to find as far as a technology, as far as what we felt like was going to get our health back. We just, there was a lot of modifications and additions and merging of other technologies that we could do to merge all into one, to enhance the results, the ease of use, and that intuitive nature on how to be able to use it. And so over the next couple of years, we worked with several engineers to do this. And basically, that's what the AmpCoil is today. And that's really what has helped our family get our lives back. And throughout all the development, our quiet prayer underneath it all is that it would not only help us, that it would help others as well.
And we literally were the right people to be bit. We didn't know it at the time. However, we spent 15 years in the biofeedback health technology business on an executive level. So we had been kind of schooled in all the areas of development to put all these pieces together and what not to do. So we didn't know it at the time that was our schooling.
And one thing, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, and we lost your signal. We can't see you. Because we would love to see you.
Okay. So,
but we can we'll keep talking. I just want to bring that to the awareness, so we get to see your beautiful faces in a moment again.
Yeah, well, Kristie and I are obviously really excited because we recently just purchased the newest model that AmpCoil has to offer, which is called the Trekker, and it's designed for international use. And we're really excited to basically kick off our unique journey with the AmpCoil. And I'd love to kind of use this as a little intro into how this technology works. Working with the company and working with Aaron in Geneva, which has been an amazing experience to this point. Obviously, so many new developments that have been exposed and shared, discovered, and co-creations that are unfolding and obviously continuing to unfold. It's been a very dynamic journey thus far. What I've come to know as far as working with the AmpCoil for several months personally, as Aaron in Geneva gracefully allowed me to experiment using a unit on my own as they lended me one of their own. Basically, there's a few major components there, but the most brilliant and amazing aspect is, from my understanding, BetterGuide, which is this application that runs the software and is paired with a biofeedback technology that is similar to what is being used these days with lie detector tests, as technology has kind of advanced into using voice analysis. And so I understand that BetterGuide has a voice analysis biofeedback technology in there where the user gets to be able to basically speak using their own voice directly into the software. And the software is able to basically read the individual's body and break it down into three major components as far as nutrition, as far as different toxins and metals and things that are affecting it, and then also into organ health. And it basically kind of configures and shows you your priorities of where your body needs rebalancing. And what happens is then the brilliant team of AmpCoil have Geneva heading that, have geared specific frequencies, notes, more or less music or songs or tones that then is sent through the software into the amplifier and comes out the other end through a modified Tesla coil, which is basically the speaker. And these frequencies are then sent through the human body using an electromagnetic field. So it literally, not only are you, the sound being delivered, but it's being delivered magnetically, and that magnet field is allowed to basically penetrate all the way through intracellularly, bones, muscles, brain barrier, anything. These beautiful, life-giving, generating, harmonizing frequencies that tell and communicate the body what harmony and health sounds like. And basically, the body is more than willing to receive these divine sounds and start to experience transformation as it integrates these powerful frequencies into its system as its own. So anything that you'd like to share on that?
Wow, well done, Jivananda. It's a beautiful explanation.
Yeah, so just, something that comes to mind for me to kind of put it in perspective for everybody is we realize that most of us in our society have empowered doctors, practitioners for our own well-being.
Yes.
And in a lot of situations, that's a wonderful thing. And I think a lot of us realize we've gotten so dependent on them that we've taken the focus off our own healing and what we're capable of doing ourselves. So the AmpCoil really was designed as a tool to use from home. So people that have these long-term chronic issues aren't going broke, going to practitioners and doctors hoping to get better, and empowering themselves to do it at their leisure at home. So it's really an empowerment tool. And I actually want to thank Steve Jobs and Apple for doing what they did, because they really were our inspiration to take a tool, make it really simple to use, fun to use. And that's what our clients say about using the technology. So much that one of the quotes that Steve Jobs said before he passed away was that we are in an era in the world right now that the next evolution is going to be how technology and physiology merge to really live in their highest self.
Yeah.
So that's where we get to feel like we get to take that baton and help see that be a reality and
carry that mission forward.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, and you said something very important. It's about empowerment, which is why AmpCoil is such a beautiful topic for Rebel Hearts, because we're all about empowering people. And I feel like exactly what you said, Aaron, so many times we give our power away to someone else, to the doctors, or to this, to that, or even to a pill that we take on a daily basis. It seems for so many people, we still have that mentality. It's so much easier to take the pill than to look at what's really going on. What is the root cause of the dis-ease? Again, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. What is disease teaching me? And how, even for both of you, how do I need to set up my life maybe a little bit differently? So I don't need to have a disease that is keeping me paralyzed or sick in order for me to finally realize what I'm here to do, or, to change my life. So let's talk a little bit more about the self-empowerment aspect of the AmpCoil.
Well, one thing that I know is big for me after spending a decade of going to practitioners and always looking on the internet and all these places outside for answers, when I use the AmpCoil, I'm looking inside. I'm capturing my own voice print, right? And the voice is tied to the vagus nerve, which is tied to the organs, which reflects the body's state of being. And so I capture my voice print, and then it translates it and is able to show me which frequencies in my voice are most out of range. Now, they could be related to an organ, a nutrient, a microbe or toxin. It really doesn't matter what it's related to. It's just a frequency. And if it's out of balance, the whole goal is to bring that in balance. Right? One frequency could be, the same frequency could be a frequency of a microbe, and that same frequency could be of an organ and of a toxin and of a chakra and of a spot, one of the vertebrae in your spine. So it's not about diagnosing anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the condition that we're so used to, is tell me what's wrong with me so I can fix it. And with this, it's not about finding out, labeling what is wrong with me. It's just bringing it down to the level of frequency, which is all we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're just a concert of tones.
A combination of vibrations. It's not just one, it's the entire jump.
So if that's all we are, then let's speak that language back to ourselves, right? Let's capture the frequencies, reflect it in our voice, have our body now have a chance to actually express itself through our voice, and then feed that back through the coil, which is essentially just a human tuner. So it takes those frequencies that are out of balance, whatever they may be, and apply it back to the human body. And then it harmonizes our system, and it harmonizes an organ, a nutrient, and if there is microbes, metals, and toxins, well, there's really no space for that. If you hold that frequency long enough through bioresonance, it creates a harmony with that as well, and it creates a clearing. So that's hugely empowering for me to be able to have my children go to bed at night and place the coil on them and know that they're sleeping and are receiving, this homeostasis at the same time, and not have to book an appointment and drive here and then come back disappointed. I mean, that's huge for a parent, when so many years I just felt so helpless, not being able to help my children and my family. And now every day I feel empowered when I help my children.
So put in perspective for the everyday person, I'll use a fish tank analogy, because when we look at a fish tank, what is the simple thing that you can do to a fish tank for the fish and the whole tank to look really healthy? Well, it's to get a proper alkaline state in the tank. So it's that proper pH. When you do that, the fish are healthy, the tank looks great. Our body's no different. So
pH, oxygen, and minerals. That's our bioterrain, just like in a fish tank, because we're just a big fish tank in a way.
So we're literally just providing an opportunity to allow that to go to its optimum state, to where we'll just call them bugs, no longer have a home. They cannot exist in that environment. So just like the earth, the earth vibrates at roughly 432 hertz, which everything in nature is at its optimum state. Unfortunately, most of us as humans, we live on concrete, we're around all these negative EMFs, all these things that keep us out of that vibration that we know is healthy, but we get disconnected from it and don't even realize what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really a turn to nature, no matter where you are, that this is going to remind you of who you are, and take the heavy lifting away that most of us think healing is. We think if you're chronically ill, it's going to be a long, arduous road. Well, this is taking most of that matter, so to speak, take it out of the equation. So the fun parts are left in the journey that are manageable.
Right.
Or at least definitely the more interesting parts, aside from the struggle and the pain and the suffering, and that's what's so exciting for me as someone who's coming from an alternative medicine background, working with all sorts of different things, from shiatsu therapy to energy to healing work and stuff. I'm most excited because, AmpCoil really provides this amazing opportunity for people to be able to address the imbalances that they have, discovered along their journey. Different blocks or obstacles that, we come across with our journey in well-being. And when we finally are able to begin to recharge and optimize the frequencies of the life vibration, like you're saying, that once you enhance and strengthen these life vibrations, nothing negative, nothing low frequency can live inside of that field. And that's the biggest thing when working with health, is being able to create that field of health where unhealth doesn't exist. And so what's so exciting for me is that when you work with this device, when you work with the AmpCoil, you start playing the beautiful notes, frequency, tunes, and harmonies that start to rebalance and bring that life forth, bring that strength back, and it pushes all the lower frequencies out, and it starts to, embody your field. It gives us, is almost for the first time, this opportunity to be able to not focus on the pain, not focus on the body anymore, but now focus on the emotional, the energetic aspects, right? The spiritual aspects, because the only reason anything is coming to us, the only reason anything is being brought up into our field in our life is because there's something there that we need to look at, right? It's nature's way, it's the creator's way of creating a red blinking engine light for our being. And if that light comes on, it's a blessing. It's a blessing and the gift of the challenge, right? And the AmpCoil is here to help deal with the challenge, neutralize that physical suffering, so that then you're available emotionally and mentally to dive into your spiritual path, to dive into the deepening relationship with self and source, to understand why this came about, and to transform that relationship and go forward in your life without being burdened and weighed down by the physical suffering elements, to a point where you can't really address that. You just have to cope. So that's what's so exciting with AmpCoil for me, is it really invites each user into this new dynamic relationship of working with spirituality, working with health, working with consciousness, the emotions, and unifying it into one field that you can navigate by yourself in the comfort of your own home.
And Jivananda, as you're saying all this, one thing that comes up, because we understand your audience, most of which I would assume are on a spiritual path.
Yes.
And a lot of people, when they get these types of help, let's call them help opportunities, that channel kind of gets blocked off to where they can't even connect. And we didn't even know this as we put together what we call our A team. We have the team of 10 type A personalities that are all incredible in engineering and technology and everything you could possibly think of. And we basically we realized that as we develop this, without even knowing, that it opens up a portal, literally like in your pineal gland, where you can now make that connection a lot easier, whatever your spiritual path, than before, where you were blocked off and thought, okay, I'm going to meditate, but it's just not happening. What's going on? So that blockage is now being removed, so that receiver, that antenna, is now ready to connect again. And that's the feedback that we get from people that are on that path. Couldn't even imagine programming. It just happened.
Which actually, I feel like Geneva, you already started answering the question, but you're already leading into my next question over here, Aaron. How has AmpCoil changed your own life, and even the life of the people around you, or some of the people you know? How has it affected it?
Oh gosh.
And just like a little piece of it. It's really huge.
I had some of the recent stats on me. You can go to, I know some of them are on our website at ampcoil.com, some of them on the Wellness for Humanity website, because Wellness for Humanity is a foundation that has chosen AmpCoil to be their first technology to help with the recipients of their Lyme to Wellness program. And so what they do is they track them every single week for a minimum of 90 days to find out how are they doing, what's working. Because if the AmpCoil is not working, then they're moving on to something else to find out really how can we best help these people. So I know on their website they've got some stats, but it's pretty amazing. Most of the stats are within the 80 to 90%. That they check to see an increase in energy, increase in mental clarity, improvements in digestion. All of those are usually around in the 80%. And this is after just 90 days of use.
Wow.
We also have, I think it was a 92 or 91% reduction in people reported the improvements in pain levels, depression. We had a significant amount improve in their depression and anxiety. We also looked at how their relationships improved. Because when you're not well, it's really hard to be in relationship, not only with yourself, but with other people around you, right?
We often get to be, you know, the most mean with those closest to us when we're uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we had a huge, somewhere in the high 80s, I think 87% or so, had improvements in their relationships. After, again, just 3 months.
Majority of the kids got to go back to school after a few months.
Improvements in their academics.
Yeah, almost half the parents that were out of work were able to go back to work after 3 months.
Yeah, returning to work. And then we also looked at one of the last stats that we gathered was the percentage of people that were able to start reducing debt. It may not seem like a big thing. However, when you are financially distraught after spending everything trying to get well, and in just that short amount of time, you're able to have such a significant healthcare cost savings. I mean, we used to spend $3,000 a month just on supplements, just on supplements alone.
Yeah, I hear you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And never knowing if we're really doing anything.
Been there. I have all the cupboards filled. Most of them are expired now. You know, it's like, and so
Going whatever you can, just get it in and see if it works.
Yeah. So, you know, when people get an AmpCoil, like when they finance it, I think it's what, $150 a month for themselves, for their whole family. And it's their healthcare costs just completely start to drop. And then when you're saving money, now you can start getting out of debt, and all of these burdens start lifting off of you physically, emotionally, relationally, financially. So that's the other empowerment piece, you know, is financial wellness is part of it.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about empowerment. There is another thing that comes up that most people don't even conceive of when they come to us, is they tend to really get their life force back within a month or two, sometimes a little longer. And in that, people start to notice around them, wow, you look different. What have you been doing? So next thing you know, they attract their neighbors, their friends, other people that have Lyme disease. They get on the technology, like, I have to have this. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting to help a friend, a family member. And then we have a wonderful referral program, which allows for people to even put that towards paying off their technology. So it just really makes it a win-win situation. And the empowerment that all of a sudden, now I've gotten better, and now I get to take my life's journey and help someone else.
With just giving them a tool, getting them on the tool, and all you have to do is push play, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And you know, that feeling when someone calls you and they're sharing like what's going on with them, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, totally.
And then now to be able to say, come over, push play. It's significant. And I just want to clarify one thing, just so there's no misunderstandings, is that, you know, yes, people can feel a significant change in their life force in 1 to 2 months. At the same time, everybody's different because we all have a different level of barriers that need to be removed so that we can really be our real self. You know, some people have been chronically ill for 30 years. Some people only 6 months. So there really is no, how long until I feel better? It really
absolutely.
People. All we can do is say, okay, well, after 90 days, this is when we took these stats. And so you can kind of get a general feel. But we can't, you know, say this is what's going to happen for you in this period of time.
However, we do have an incredible team that will help people that are really proactive in working with us. And if they're not in a place to do that, we usually encourage them to not get the technology, because it really is an empowerment tool, but at the same time, they need to be proactive.
Exactly. It's really for those who are ready to, you know, take a hold of their own journey and really step in and understand, hey, you know, I'm the only one here leading this path, and it's up to me to transform it. You know, we are all our own healers, and without us being present, there is no healing. So, you know,
and what AmpCoil is doing just is facilitating that remembrance of being our own healer.
Exactly. You know, and you know, another thing that I wanted to bring up that is so exciting for me as well, because obviously it has, AmpCoil has had a huge rise in Lyme communities and autoimmune, condition communities, people that have been experiencing, like you said, illness for 30 years or more. But what's amazing about AmpCoil is that it's completely comprehensive, meaning that it's for everyday life. It's for the family. It's for our homes. It's for our children, during the winter, my daughter has sensitivities to lung issues and lung infections. And it's so beautiful to be able to just sit her down with a little DVD player and put the AmpCoil on her and be able to work on all of the frequencies that are basically come up in the most common, cold of affecting the respiratory and the lungs. Or, one night after going out with friends, I had a sensitivity, it felt like I had food poisoning symptoms come up. Before letting that get full blown out of control, I was able to sit down, just put some, press the pre-programmed journey, the digestes one, and start to notice instantly the symptoms start to basically neutralize. And it's like, having a tool like this that is so comprehensive, that can cover so many different aspects of life. I mean, you name it. It's really profound. And like you said, it's as simple as pushing a button. And, there's the aspect where you can go in and use the voice analysis to go into the very deep, unique elements of the body. And then there's the pre-programmed journeys there, if you just want to relax and have your parasympathetic nervous system just, calm down for a moment, you can press a button there and get all these frequencies that just put you in a deep meditative state. It's really, there's something for everyone, and there's really no one that can't benefit from it, which is.
So, Jivananda, as you're saying that, one of the most common things people say to us before they decide to acquire an AmpCoil is, how long am I going to have to use this?
Yeah.
I would have to.
So we rephrase it, we say, well, get to, and here's why. What's going to most likely happen is you're going to use this, you're going to start to feel the shift, possibly in a month or two, maybe a few. And then all of a sudden, you're going to feel great. And you're going to start to realize, oh, wait a minute. Like you said, there's something in here for sleep or, the flu. And it becomes like your new best friend.
Yeah.
It's really also for maintenance. Once you get to a certain level, just to do your maintenance every day.
You're going to feel better than just being
if you want to continue to rise up Maslow's triangle, the AmpCoil, like Aaron said, does the heavy lifting on these lower area, and it allows your energy to just keep rising.
And here's something that's very interesting, because both of you brought that, how long do I have to do that? And people, we brush our teeth every day, hopefully. We shower, we do our physical maintenance. Why not do our energetic maintenance or our frequency maintenance every day to incorporate it into our well-being? If we go to the gym, we all have our routines. So it's part of, again, that paradigm shift that we make from home, the self-empowerment. To just incorporate something as simple as pushing a button to maintain our well-being, or even get it to another level that we're already at.
That combination, I think, of being able to take care of, because we're constantly being exposed to toxins and things in our food and stress and, new pathogens and all kinds of things that are coming out. So we're constantly being exposed to that. So we need the maintenance for that. But also, 3 years later, I'm still coiling, because how can I feel better than I do now? Well, I coil, and then all of a sudden I go, wow, the little bit of achiness that I had in a few of these joints, that's gone. And all of a sudden that neck pain, it just keeps getting better and better and better, because you think you're great, but you don't know until you actually go to the next level. So.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to share really quick is it's like, well, how long do I have to use it? It's like, well, how often would you like to drink a cold pressed juice in your life?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the beautiful thing about AmpCoil is that it's frequency food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're literally feeding your body with beautiful harmonizing frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
When do you ever not want that?
Yeah.
You know, when do you ever not want to sit down with your cold pressed juice and enjoy it, and then also enjoy the same thing on a frequency level as you feed your body and through vibration. Anyway.
And I feel like that is also the new paradigm that we're moving into, because we've been so imprinted into this paradigm of suffering, sacrifice, being a virtue, and giving. And I feel like we're going through this tremendous paradigm shift on a global level, where we're learning that self-care is the most important thing. Because without taking care of ourselves, we cannot show up in our job, we cannot show up in our relationships, we cannot show up for anyone else. And for me, even AmpCoil is part of that self-care program that we can do every day. So we're showing up for ourselves, getting those good, juicy blueprint frequencies into our body to feel good. And then we can go out and do better work. We can, you know, have better relationships, like you already talked about, Geneva. So for me, it's also, you know, again, another step besides the self-empowerment of that paradigm shift that we're currently going through.
And Kristie, you know, again, how beautiful it is that your show is related to the heart, because a lot of people don't even realize that almost all the songs we love, the so-called love songs, every single one of them is recorded in 432 hertz or close to that. And the three masters that sing these songs and produce these songs know this. How do we feel when we receive this?
Yeah.
You literally made sure that the AmpCoil brings people back to that frequency range where you feel good. And that's why you, just like hearing a song like that, you want to go and use technology again, because it's like listening to that beautiful song.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Aaron. Absolutely.
Let food be thy medicine. Music be thy medicine. And
and as we're getting close, and as we're getting close to the end of the show, what is your vision? What mission with AmpCoil? What do you see in the bigger picture? As the bigger picture for AmpCoil? If you would just briefly talk about it.
I guess if I could just start really with what our why is, and then because our why, our vision comes from our why, and really why we're doing what we're doing is it's from a place of gratitude. Get a little choked up when I share this, just because you know we got our lives back, and
we actually got to start new lives.
And we got to start new lives. And there's no way that we can say thank you enough except to pay it forward. And so when I remember, you know, these nights of, you know, being in bed, and we would just, you know, cry out to God and say, please, you know, help our family get better. And if we get better, we promise we will help others. That will be our way of saying thank you. And so that's really why we get up and do what we do every day, is about fulfilling that promise, and in thanks, in deep gratitude for
and on more of a global level, you know, I know the sign behind us is the foundation that we get to work with on a day-to-day basis. It's Wellness for Humanity Foundation, and what they came up with is to basically knock out the devastating effects of Lyme and chronic autoimmune issues worldwide by the year 2025. So that's really the overarching goal. And that's what inspires our team every day to get up and think about what is the next step in our own evolution, help in that process and be part of that being the reality of the world.
You know, so
really,
that's for Wellness Humanity. They have a real niche right now with the Lyme community and that goal by 2025. We're a part of that. Ours is a little bit more broader of you know, like you said, Jivananda, this is really, it really started with Lyme and autoimmune, but we go, well, why limit into that, because it seems to help everybody, because we all need the same things to be healthy.
Yeah.
My liver requires the same as yours, right? I could put my liver in yours and you do just fine. We're all the same.
Yeah.
We don't treat disease. We just balance the body, and everybody's body is the same in that way. So it's really, that broader of having this wellness tool that is used to empower people to be stewards of their own health and create wellness in their families and community. And in doing so, raising the vibration of humanity as a whole.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So,
my final question for both of you: what is your final message to our Rebel Hearts audience? What is one thing you want to leave them with before we wrap up over here?
It's as simple as turning it on, pressing play, and let the journey begin.
Thank you, Aaron.
and if I were to share something, I would say, if you are facing a health challenge, don't give up. Because when you get to the positive side of it, you're going to look back and you will be so glad that you didn't give up. And you'll see that it was really a merciful undoing and a gracious remaking of yourself, your real self. And that also someday you'll see how all your experiences will also benefit others.
That's beautiful. Wow. Thank you both.
That's so special.
Do you want to say something?
I just want to say thank you so much, you
Mm-hmm.
guys, for joining us today. It's been an honor to share this beautiful space, to share the beautiful message and all the energy that we are all up to as we continue our lives in our own ways, as our own Rebel Hearts. And just want to say I'm so excited to continue my journey further with AmpCoil. As a family unit.
Yeah.
So thank you for all you guys have done.
Yeah, happy to be on the journey with you.
Thank you.
And what is the best way for our audience to get in touch with you?
AmpCoil.com. AmpCoil.com.
Yeah, and there's people that will chat on the website, but we also have people that on the phones, and these are not salespeople, they don't get commissions. These are all people who have had AmpCoils, had a transformation, and then said, I want to turn around and have my experiences benefit others. And so now they're on the phones talking to people.
Yeah.
And so that's who you'll be talking to. People who have been through their own transformation.
Grassroots there. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh, that was incredible. Thank you to both of you. First of all, for taking the time to chat with us today, to share your beautiful energy and knowledge with our audience. Everything you're doing in this world, it's just an amazing mission. I'm, like Jivananda said, I'm really excited about getting our unit and continuing our journey from home and by pressing our buttons. And thank you. I'm
our pleasure.
Gratitude to know you. It's such an honor to be speaking with you, and I look forward to creating more together.
Yes.
Thank you.
Onward and upward.
Thank you. All right, Rebel Hearts, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't done so yet, go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast, leave us your feedback, because thanks to your feedback, we're actually able to bring you amazing people like Geneva and Aaron to the show and share this incredible information with you. And we'll see it again in a couple of weeks with an interview with Gwen Dittmar, and we'll be talking about ancient wisdom and amazing breath work and how to create a balance in our sometimes stressful environment. So we'll see you then, and remember, in the meantime, to rebel on.
Shows that make you laugh, shows that make you think, music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.